All right. So I'm going to wait for a few more class members to join. I don't know if anybody's on. So far it says 0 viewers. So I'll wait a couple of minutes. The agenda is for today's meeting is located on the class Facebook group page. So you can go there and download the agenda, and we'll get ready in a few. Okay, we have 4 viewers, so that's enough to get us started at a minimum. I don't know if you guys had a chance to download the agenda. And also there's an attachment that goes with the agenda that's describing the 5 different committees. So you should get those things, and they're actually on the class page on Facebook. So you want to double check that, and you can get that information. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. So what I wanted to put out was, I'm just going to jump right into it. Over the last 2-3 weeks, I've gotten a lot of inbox messages from people asking, are they in the class of 85? If they're not in the class of 85, and I think that, and will they be able to attend the reunion if they're not, if they didn't graduate in 85, and what happens if they spent the first 2 years of the class, first 2 years of Hempstead High, but they went to another school and they feel affiliation towards class of 85. Can they still, come to the reunion? I thought about it, and again, it's not just my decision, but I'll put my feelings out, is that I don't think that reunions really are about, exclusivity, and I don't think that we should engage in that kind of stuff. I think we know who is a member of the class of 85 and who isn't. And I think individuals can sort of choose, where they fall. There are people who were with us all 4 years and didn't graduate in 85 for whatever personal reasons. And I would hate to exclude them on the basis of that. And at the same time, there were people who went to other schools for 9, 10, and 11th grade, and they came to us their senior year. And they are and they graduated with us. And so I don't want to exclude them. So I don't want to make graduation sort of graduating in June of 1985 the marker, if you will, or the distinguishing feature of what makes somebody a member of the class of 85. Quite frankly, all of the reunion and event activities that we come up with will be all about 1985. So people will know whether or not they belonged in a class or not. At this point, if they want to buy a ticket to the activities, I really don't care. I'm not hung up on that kind of stuff. But if it's an ongoing issue with people, I think we can definitely hash it out. Quite frankly, it doesn't, it doesn't bother me that much. But I would love to hear some more feedback from class members. There are people who graduated in the class of '86 who were in our classes, let's say in like grade school, and they repeated a grade, and they feel some sort of affiliation still to 85. Again, I'm not wedded to the idea that they shouldn't be a part of the class because they weren't with us. I'm not going to get caught up in that. I don't think it's fair. But again, I'm willing to entertain that. So if you guys have any questions about it, you can definitely shoot those. If you're watching on the YouTube feature, you should be able to have a feature where you can ask questions, and the same thing with people who are watching through Google+. There is a question and answer. So use it if you can, and if not, you can always send me something through the Facebook inbox, or if you have my personal cell number, you can actually text me a message. I'd love to hear from you, okay, on that front. So I'm ready to move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's looking at the reunion dates. I really thought that it made a lot of sense to go with the last possible weekend in August, because I know August is vacation time for a lot of people. Not only that, it gives us a lot of time to plan for reunion events. But I also got a lot of feedback, which there were things I did not consider, and there are people with college-age kids in the class, and they were expressing their concerns about not being able, having to take the kids back to school, and at the same time, try to rush back to make it, to the reunion. So I hear, I've gotten a wide range of dates, and I think we really need to narrow some stuff down. I don't think we can go any sooner than mid-July, and I don't think we can go any later than mid-August. So we need to pick weekends like in between that slot, in between that narrow time frame. Whatever date we go with is a date we got to stick with, because I can't call hotels, I can't negotiate things with anybody if I don't have a date, if the dates are still tentative. So we need to really square those dates down and as soon as possible. Again, I'm not wedded to any particular date. I have more than enough time to be able to plan. So if you guys want to, shoot some dates out, let's deal with that. But it cannot be any sooner than mid-July, and it cannot be any later than mid-August. And that's because of, people have to return, their kids back to college. Do I have any questions? Check my question and answer. Okay. I'm just checking. All right. Reunion committees. For the 30th, we're talking about some big things. And what I really wanted to put out was the fact that we can't, leave reunion planning activities to a handful of people. So reunion work, really, reunion planning activities rather, has to be carried out through a group, through committees. And it makes sense at this point to have, 5 basic standing committees. And if we need to create subcommittees as we move along, that's fine. But we need to get out a finance committee, an outreach committee, an entertainment committee. I created this idea of an ambassador committee, and then the chairs of those committees will come together and form our executive committee. So if we didn't have a chance, I did put this document on our group webpage, so you can get a chance to download that. Actually, I put it here. Download that so you can see it, and it has the definitions of the committees. One of the things that I'm asking people to do is to consider joining one of those committees, particularly if you have expertise in the area. Nothing is more important for us right now than thinking about our finances, how to generate money, how to create payment mechanisms. I need people who can, think like that. So I call it finance and treasury, because ultimately this committee will sort of set up the mechanisms and the funding streams in terms of how we will be able to pay for the different reunion activities. So, if you're good with money, if you have an experience in banking and that sorts of things, and you think this is something that's good for you, I strongly encourage you to join our finance committee. Get on it, and we only need about 3-4 people on the finance committee, and out of those people, you can pick a chair to serve on the executive committee. Outreach is particularly important. Even though I'm asking for a committee, technically speaking, everyone who's on the Facebook group page is a member of the outreach committee, because everyone has been charged or tasked with trying to make sure that we have at least one other person sign on or attend the reunion activities. This committee, though, however, will be charged with not just maintaining our class list and making sure that all the people in the class are sort of updated and know about the reunion, but they're also charged with getting information out to those people who are offline. Talking over the weekend with Felicia Sands, she brought up a really good point, something I hadn't considered, and that was the idea that there are lots of people in our class who are not online and who do not use the internet to get most of their information. So we have to create another system to reach out to those folks and try to see what's going on with them, but also make them a part of this event, because it's theirs as well. So we need to make sure that we get on top of reaching out to those persons. In addition to that, though, the outreach committee is also charged with creating the active list, but that list we have to just maintain, because that list we will have to keep with us at all times, even post-reunion, because it will be the main way that we will be able to stay in touch with each other and take people off the list. The outreach committee will also know who in our class is no longer with us for whatever reasons, and just basically keep the roster, if nothing else. But ideally, we are all a member of that committee, because we should always be reaching out to people who are not, who we haven't seen or heard from, or we talk to once in a blue moon, but we got to use them to get the information out. The entertainment committee is probably one of the big ones, the most important ones, because that committee is charged with making sure that, basically really charged with the agenda, planning the agenda for the week's activities, the weekend activities. And that is, doing everything from soup to nuts to make sure that, covering everything from soup to nuts to make sure that the event goes off without a hitch, right? So that's looking at event management, that's making sure that we have our supplies to make sure these events go off. Well, that's making sure that we have, adequate volunteer coverage at various events. That's making sure that we have, DJ and music and venue and all that stuff. So anyone who's involved with the event, that's your skill set. You should definitely consider the entertainment committee. I think that, it's very important. It's a very important job. It's a very important skill. And if you have party planning ideas, I'm sure that that's where they'll go in terms of that committee. Again, 4 to 5 people in that committee would be great. More is even better. But for starters, we should really think about 4 to 5. Ambassador groups. This is different because ambassador groups are sort of a little spin-off of the outreach committees. But what's different is that the ambassador groups will do things like hold local reunion activities in both Atlanta and Hempstead. So we have like 2 small separate ambassador groups. We have a lot of people in Atlanta, so we need a point person in Atlanta to be able to keep the Atlanta folks on board. Whatever sort of materials that we develop for the class that we may want to give out before the reunion, we want to be able to have a point person to ship that to make sure that all those folks get out to get the whatever swag or paraphernalia we develop, make sure they get theirs, t-shirts, whatever. Also, it is a good way of making sure that the people in those local areas have all the information they need. Hempstead is a little bit different in that the person would still be charged with doing some of the same things. However, that person would also be in charge of letting us know what's happening on the ground in terms of Hempstead. If there are events that we want to have in Hempstead, what community events are happening in Hempstead so that we can make sure that our name is attached to whatever events that are happening in the community locally. Positive events, of course, positive events. And we make sure that we have representation of the class of '85 at the whatever events. We missed homecoming this year. And that's okay. I'm sure there'll be other events we can get to the high school for. In fact, I'm thinking about reviving the Alumni Day at Hempstead High School, and if nothing else, I'll make it an 85-30 event so that it's just members of the class of '85 who go back for Alumni Day and spend the day or spend the afternoon with Hempstead High School students. We could definitely talk about that offline, but we need people in Hempstead to keep us up to date about what's going on. 1980, so moving ahead on the agenda, class of '84. Last week in the class of '84 had what they considered an unofficial reunion because 2014 would have been their 30th reunion, and I don't think there were any reunion activities planned large scale. I don't know why, not my business, not my group, but Pat Davis, I think, took it upon herself to do something, and it was unofficial, and I don't know how it was coordinated, but I'm not sure that the turnout was what they expected. But I think we learned a lot. I learned a lot as I saw how they planned this, and I'm insisting, if nothing else, that we do this by way of committee. We do this by way of committee, and also we keep the process transparent. I don't want people to think that they did not have a way in, that they didn't have any buy-in, and that there was no opportunity for them to participate. That's number one. Number two, all of the work should be put on the shoulders of a small group of people, because that's not fair either. This is our event, and I'm very sure that we can make this thing happen. It should be the biggest thing. We have 109 people signed up on our class webpage. If we can all reach out and get at least one person in, that's 150 to 200 people. That's a hell of an event, and I know we can do this. We haven't met since 1995, I think it was the last reunion, and so we need to outdo. That was the event at Monty's. We need to outdo ourselves this time around. And again, I think that people are sitting around excited about some of the things we're going to plan. So let's get this going. I don't know if I have questions, if anyone wants to, if anyone can send questions. If you can't, again, you can inbox me. I promise I'll put those questions up for everyone at large to see, and we can definitely answer them from there. I'm going to hang out for a minute or two to see if I have any more questions from anyone. And obviously see if there's technology issues, but if you have any questions, jump on, send me what you can. I think for the YouTube users, you can, if you're on live, you can activate a question and answer feature on that website. Hold on. Sorry about that. And questions are coming through like crazy. Okay, hold on. So I got a message from Wilbur, which I think is a great question. What is the debt? Okay, I got to see what's going on with the YouTube event because I called Google and they tell me that there should be a feature, so I can't see it from my end. So I'm going to have to see how I can make that better. But anyway, Wilbur wants to know what's the deadline for putting committees together. That's a good question. We really shouldn't do. We really should try to get this done by mid-November. Committees should be solidified by mid-November. So we're talking about putting up a calendar. Sorry. Probably like November the 15th. Yep, November the 15th. November the 15th, because actually that's when I want to have the next meeting. So November the 15th can be the deadline for the next committee, for committee formation. And I will send out just reminders throughout the week about committee information, just in case people miss this. So I'll put that on my list. Okay. Felicia asked, will we consider having any event at Love Jones? I think that it's a possibility. I'm not sure yet. Those are things that I think we should discuss with our entertainment group at large and just kind of see. I think we should shop around. I know 83 did not want to have their any events at Love Jones, and I think there was an issue around pricing. I'm not sure if we would have that same issue. I don't know if what we would try to do at Love Jones in particular. So it's a number of things. If we have a banquet and an event outside of, let's say, a big event at I don't know. I had mentioned like Terrace on the Park, for example, or at the Marriott. There's nothing wrong with having an after party at Love Jones if that's something that we want to consider, but that can operate and exist outside of reunion activities. But the possibility is open. I don't want to make that decision on my own. Felicia asked another good question, which is, would the people in Georgia want to charter a bus that weekend? If we have the ambassadors can organize that, and the person who wants to take charge of activities in Atlanta want to pull together a bus to have folks come up, that's on them. That's certainly something I think that's a great idea, and that's certainly something they should consider. And Lisa Turner is in Atlanta, and she certainly, this is from Khalil, did a great job of putting together the picnic at Eisenhower Park. I got to see the rest of the question. I'm sorry. She can probably get the Georgia folks together. Absolutely. That's something to definitely consider. Hold on. One other thing. I think that's it in terms of questions. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. So again, we really can't do anything going forward actually until we get our committees solidified. And so once that's in place, I think we can, get the next step going. I'm definitely gonna hold on. Look at the weekend. So like somewhere reunion for us would start either the weekend of July the 17th, so that's the 17th, 18th, and 19th. So that weekend all the way to probably August the 14th, the weekend of the weekend of the 21st in August. So somewhere of those weekends, we have to come down and pick a date. But I'm interested in hearing sort of the longer answers, or the longer discussions and deliberations about dates. Because once we get our committees going, we have to hit the ground running. And I mean, if we pick any time in July, we got to hit the ground running. We got to be on point. There's going to be little room for error, so we really have to get it up and running. So if you have any more questions, continue to send them to my inbox. Continue to text me directly, and we can go from there. I'm scheduling the next meeting for the 4th to 15th. And I actually think I might be in Hempstead that weekend. November the 15th, yeah. I might be in Hempstead. It won't matter though, because at any rate, I have my laptop with me, so I'll be able to continue the discussions there. Any other questions? Let me know. Hit me up on the inbox. We still have a little bit more time on the, actually a lot more time. So, yeah. And one of the things I also want to add is once we get our committees going, committees can meet independently. The only thing that I ask is that, whatever dates that those committees meet, that we post that stuff publicly, because I want the process to be as transparent as possible. And this way we can also create a master calendar, and the master calendar will have who's meeting what, when, where. And we're going to have to, sort of be on the ball about this from now till then. I also wanted to point out something really great. Michael Prince, a couple months ago, has sent me a masterclass list that came from the 85 reunion, the 1995 reunion, the one that was held at Monty's, and listed everyone's address in it. But I'm sure that's obviously 20 years old, and it had people in it that I knew for a fact were the class of 85. I think they based it on, they based the list on who the high school said graduated in January 85, June 85, and August 85. And that could have been any number of people. You know, there were people, especially the summer graduates, because there were people who may have had to go to night school or summer school who weren't part of our class, who probably came to Hempstead High, you know, in the early 80s, well before we got there, and dropped out and then came back. And so, you know, they were all sort of lumped in. I'm not sure that, you know, for our purposes, you know, those folks were class of 85, because I mean, a lot of people I didn't recognize. So we'll go from there. Are there any other questions? All right, I think I'm going to end this because I don't have any questions, and other questions are popping up. So I'm going to end this. And again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to send that stuff to me by way of Facebook or text me directly. More importantly, the YouTube video will stay up, so that'll be up so people can review that. And I also promise you that I'm going to send out some minutes with this, with an action plan, and that should come out during the week. Food committee. Khalil sends a question, will there be a food committee? Khalil, that should fall under entertainment, folks. That's what I meant sort of by supplies. So, and I should have been clear about that. So yeah, food will be covered, food will be handled by that entertainment committee. So if we choose a caterer, you know, we come up with the idea that the event should be catered, they need to be in charge of finding the caterers and see if we can get a good bid and that kind of stuff. Any other questions? Okay. I'm going to end this, but you guys can still send me stuff as ideas and stuff pop up. I'm not wedded to any particular, you know, one thing will go how we need to go. I'm just going to try my best to give the overall event some direction. That's where I think I can best use my talent. So having said that, I want you to enjoy the rest of your weekend. And yeah, please give me your messages throughout the week, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Have a good afternoon.